So it seems like video ads are kind of more geared towards branding, towards awareness, rather than towards taking an action. So what kind of stats do we have or do we know about the actual effectiveness of running an ad on video?
Well, I have lots of stats. So
Okay.
as it relates to stats, I mean, we get some really good DR creatives to click on in in-stream video. 20 north of 20% sometimes. It's pretty crazy. That's on the higher end. Pretty standard CTRs on video are couple points, 2%. Pretty typical. Higher engagement though, and I'll tell you why. Conversion rates are higher for a lot of the campaigns that we are trying and have tried. It's because you're watching the ad, meaning you're listening to what they're saying. It's right in front of your experience. So it's different than a display ad because display ads are generally in the periphery. They're like around the content. This is interrupting the content. So it's much more engaging. It generally performs better. Creative is key in this area, though. You got to be really good with creative. As it relates to branding and awareness types of campaigns. So if you look at any vertical or any channel that launches in media, it's generally the brands that end up doing a lot of business or buying a lot of that inventory. It's either the DR advertisers come first and try to figure out how try to get to perform well, and the brands follow. Some areas it's the other way around. Like video, we see the brand advertisers come before because it's TV budgets and areas like that where there's synergies, and so they can leverage creatives that they potentially already have, so they kind of plug them in. They're buying TV, not so much anymore. They are now they're buying InBanner in-stream. Sorry, not InBanner, in-stream pre-roll. So it is definitely a great place for DR folks as well. Brands want similar, they have similar KPIs these days. Every one of these RFPs we get, they have some sort of KPI, some sort of direct response component. Maybe it's not buying something or signing up for a lead as it relates to like auto insurance, and you got brands doing that too. It's other KPIs like, hey, this is Toyota, and they need to back into an effective CPA based on a search. So you're driving the user to their site, and they're searching for specific models, or they're configuring cars, things like that. Those are the KPIs we see in video. In addition to that, we see completion rates, requirements, viewability requirements. So it's like, it's not just, hey, let's burn out this budget. It's, hey, let's actually serve an ad in front of a person because they're measuring viewability. Now, nice segue into the measurement of the quality of video as it relates to some other verticals and mediums. So viewability is very new for display, and most of the campaigns that we see now require a certain proportion of the campaign to be viewable. Video became viewable very early in comparison to display. So these RFPs are requiring 50, 75% viewability as far as the inventory. If it's not viewable, they're not going to pay for it. How are they measuring it? Well, you got to fire their it's either Nielsen or ComScore, or there's a variety of third parties that are certified by the MRC that have viewability ability to measure. So they are looking at the traffic, and they know if it's quality or not. So there's a lot of stuff as it relates to that kind of thing about quality. So in every area of media, you got to know if you're buying the right stuff. You got to know if you're buying quality. You got to know if it's real, if it's fraud, things like that. Video has its same components. Viewability is a little bit challenging to measure in mobile right now, so it might be an interesting place and some opportunity because that means the prices can't be as high. So those are my thoughts in that area.
Okay. So are these ads skippable, or the user has to watch them? Because I know, for example, on YouTube, it lets me skip the ad, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to skip the ad. I don't care how good quality it is. I usually skip it.
Yeah, so it's based on the advertiser, the advertiser's requirement, right? So you could say that, okay, you're buying let's say you're buying 1 million ads, right? You buy 1 million, and you know how many are going to be skipped, or we call started but not completed, right? That's what it is, right? It's not
Okay.
really skipped or non-skipped. It's really started and not completed. Now, if you have a high proportion of impressions that are not completed, that's probably something that you don't want to buy a lot of unless it's still backing out for you somehow. It's all about how it backs out at the end of the day. Good thing about video is you're not built for, in the VAST and VPaid specs, you're not actually built for the impression until it starts. So you could win an auction for an impression if that file never starts, that pixel doesn't fire. So you could win all day long, you just don't pay if it doesn't start. So once it starts, you pay. Now, completion rates, right? So it's based on what you want to pay. You could buy really high completion rate media, and some of it will be non-skippable, some of it will be skippable. It just depends on the publisher, right? So some publishers don't allow you to skip, some publishers do. If you go on like ABC and watch some of their content, you'll see 3 pre-rolls stacked in front of every episode or whatever you're watching, which is awesome. And I think that it is definitely conditioning everyone to understand that, hey, the content has to be paid for somehow, right? We can talk about paying for content through ads versus paywalls. wrote about that a little while ago, or just watch the commercial. Watch the ad you did on TV forever. Why shouldn't you do it online? That's another area that I can go on for hours about as well.
With mobile video in particular, obviously this is an area that advertisers want to get at because people are using their mobile devices all the time. But what are some specific benefits of actually getting an ad in front of a user while they're on a mobile device? Maybe not at home, maybe they're out, maybe they're doing something. Why is that a benefit for advertisers?
So you are leading me in the direction of geofencing and lat-long targeting. Okay, so in mobile was, I would say, like for the most part, pretty closely born on programmatic. And what that enables us to do, let's just forget about video for a second and talk about mobile in general. Mobile has, you have a lot of great capabilities in mobile because you have the parameters and the data that the mobile device is passing through the bid request and things like that. Lat-long targeting, handset, OS. There's a lot of other attributes that you can get in the impression bid request, in the bid request, and you could target on. So I ran a campaign for Garcetti here in LA. I will never stop talking about that, Sydney. It is he won, all us. Just kidding. So. And we're doing some really cool things there. Lat-long targeting, geofencing. There's places to vote in certain parts of the neighborhood. You hit all those users in a certain radius, make them go to that place to vote. You don't want to turn out the opposition, and you do a lot of really creative things there. So on mobile, you have a lot of really awesome capabilities. Now imagine overlaying all the geo capabilities, very granular, down to the device, not even like DMA or zip code or any of that stuff. It's down to the device and lat-long, things like that. Imagine overlaying that into video. Now, in addition to what we're doing in display and what these people are doing as it relates to, hey, here's an example. It's a really cool technology. What if we could fingerprint a user? Well, we can. Well, we can fingerprint a user, and we know their physical location history. Let's say for the last 30 days. I could find in the bid request all the users that have been to a car dealership. I'm going to keep talking about cars and cats. Car dealerships in the last 30 days that have physically been there. Now we get bid requests from all the publishers and the SSPs and exchanges with the lat-long coordinates of specific users, and we fingerprint those users, and we know that the history of where the user has been. Say all the users have been at a car dealership in the last 30 days. Well, today we're hitting them with, display ads, right? And we're showing them display ads, and it's very compelling. It's exciting. Yeah, okay, cool. Imagine showing them commercials next, in-banner or in-stream linear, or let's call it just pre-roll ads or video ads, specifically targeting those users. Now, I could go to Toyota and say, hey, Toyota, guess what? I could show your video ads to these people. They've been a car dealership for not 30 days. They are intenders. They're intending to buy a car. Otherwise, they wouldn't go there unless they're just, enthusiasts, and that's a possibility as well. So that those kind of things are very exciting and compelling. You could do that on mobile. You can't really do a lot of that on desktop unless we do household targeting, which we have capability of as well. Then I know I could kind of match that user from the mobile device on desktop and do the same thing to them on desktop too. So it's kind of cool, and the worlds are meshing. But yeah, the capabilities are intense, and it really it's about how creative you want to be, because the capabilities are there right now. We have a lot of stuff and a lot of tools to play with. Pretty big arsenal at this point.
Tell us about interstitial ad units.
It's just a bigger way of it's a high impact unit that enables you to. It's just bigger real estate, just performs really well. A lot of in-app inventory, access. A lot of in-app publishers, we have access to a lot of that inventory. So it's great. You could do some pretty high impact, type of advertising on it. It's just bigger place to run creative on. It's kind of like when people started using 300 by 600s on desktop, and they're like, oh, this is really cool. This is better actually, and it's quite effective, and it's. I feel like it interrupts the experience, and we see them all day long on news sites and everywhere. So yeah, it's pretty great inventory. There's quite a bit of it now, and more publishers are adopting it. So I think it's a good place to test if you're not testing currently.
Okay, explain to us exactly how an interstitial works.
Well, what it does is it's kind of like it's basically like a takeover, and you are you're looking at something like, I'm trying to think of the sites that I see it on all the time. TMZ has them once in a while, I think. There's definitely a lot of game publishers on mobile have them as well. It's just like the whole page the whole screen ends up being an ad, and there's an X, and you X out, and there you go. That's basically what it is. Everyone,
okay. Yeah. All right. So do people choose to watch those typically, or do they just X out?
So they're a lot of times they're like display style, meaning they're static, and we're also finding quite a few video opportunities in that area too. But if it's a video opportunity, it's generally sold as video. It happens to be an interstitial, that's awesome. Now, if they're forced to watch them, that's generally incent type traffic. So there's value to that as well. So it just depends on the publisher that you're buying the inventory from, or it depends on the exchange, and you could ask those specific questions, and you might be targeting capability programmatically.
Okay. So before we move on to another topic, what do you have to say to the marketers who are thinking about video advertising? Maybe they had never even tried it with desktop, but now they're excited about mobile video. What do they need to know?
Well, I think learn everything you can about it. There's quite a few players that have been around for a number of years, and there's definitely information out there. Learn as much as you can about it. Call us, ask us questions about it. We'll talk to you, and I think it's really about anything as it relates to video advertising. It really is a creative. It's bound by the performance of that. So keep that in mind. It's not like a display ad where you can just create variants instantly. This is video, so it's a little different. The CPMs are going to be more. Generally, we're seeing like direct buy CPMs in video, like north of $10. Sometimes $20. Don't be scared. The price of the impression doesn't really mean as much as how it performs. How it performs means so much more. So you don't really. You could say, hey, I'm still going to test like a couple $100 or $500 if you have the opportunity to test that low. That's still your budget. It doesn't change so much, and just to be able to gauge if something's performing for you or not. It is much more expensive. So don't be alarmed. So there's a lot of folks out there that don't buy premium inventory because they're afraid of what it costs, and there's a lot of people out there that only buy premium inventory because of how it performs, and they back into lower effective cost per action because it's just better performing media. it's like, it's like anything else that you buy that costs more. Sometimes it just costs more because it costs more, and sometimes it costs more because it's actually better quality, and it's much better. So it keep your mind, keep it open, your eyes and your mind. People are making money hand over fist in mobile video and also desktop video. So that tells you that their tolerance for those CPMS is pretty high, and they're still making money. So it's important to hear perspectives from many sides and many angles. So it's good to talk to a lot of people about this area. If you're interested in it, just start injecting it in conversations, and people might have their feedback and thoughts, and just collect information, and then you can form your own opinion based on what you might get tips from people, things like that. But yeah, we're always here to help as well.